You know, when we think about math, we usually picture equations as these little puzzles, right? Puzzles with one specific answer. But what if I told you some equations are totally different? They aren't puzzles to be solved at all. They're more like universal truths, things that are always correct, no matter what. Today, we're cracking the code on these amazing mathematical statements we call identities.
Okay, take a look at this. On the left, you've got your standard issue algebra equation. It has one job, and it's only true when x is exactly 2. But then, look at the right. We've got a trigonometric identity, and this equation is true for any angle you can possibly dream of plugging in for theta. That right there is the key difference we're diving into, the massive gap between sometimes true and always true. So what in the world is an identity, really? Let's officially move past those equations that only work once in a while. So here's the formal definition. An identity is an equation that's true for every permissible value. And permissible is just a fancy way of saying any value that doesn't, break math, like trying to divide by 0. So it's not a puzzle looking for one solution. It's a fundamental statement of fact.
So why is it always true? Where does this magic come from? Well, it's literally built into the DNA of the unit circle. Every single point on that circle has coordinates that are defined as cosine sine. And since the basic equation of that circle is x squared plus y squared equals 1, we can just plug our coordinates in. And what do we get? Cos squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. It has to be true because that point is always on the circle. It's beautiful. And get this, there's also a super powerful visual shortcut to see if you're dealing with an identity. If you graph the left side of the equation and then graph the right side of the equation, and they trace out the exact same curve, you've got yourself an identity. They'll just lie perfectly on top of each other. It's an awesome visual proof. Okay, enough theory. We've got the concepts down. Now let's get our hands dirty and actually put these tools into practice by testing some equations.
All right, let's start with this one. It seems plausible, right? Is sine of an angle plus cosine of the same angle always equal to 1? It kind of feels like our Pythagorean identity, but with the squares missing. So is it? Let's find out.
Now, the great thing about trying to prove something is false is that you only need one single case where it fails. That's called a counterexample. So let's just pick a nice, easy angle from the unit circle like pi over 4, which is just 45 degrees. Well, the sine of pi over 4 is the square root of 2 over 2, and the cosine is the exact same thing. Add them together, and you get the square root of 2. And the square root of 2 is about 1.414, which is very, very clearly not equal to 1. And bam, we're done. Since we found one single angle where the equation falls apart, we've proven it is not an identity. That's all it takes. Okay, time for round 2. How about this one? Cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta equals cosine of 2 theta. This is actually a famous one, the double angle identity for cosine. But how can we check it out for ourselves really quickly? Yep, let's use that graphical test. So here's the play-by-play. Pull out your graphing calculator or a graphing app, and first you type in the left side, y equals cos squared x minus sine squared x. Then, on that same set of axes, you add the right side, y equals cos of 2x. And when you hit that graph button, what do you see? They trace the exact same wave. It's like one curve is perfectly invisible because it's hiding right behind the other. So, what's our conclusion? The graphs are identical. This is an incredibly strong sign that we're looking at a true identity. Now, I will say, in a formal math class, you'd probably still need to write out the algebraic proof, but as far as evidence goes, this is about as convincing as it gets. All right, this next part is super important. Let's talk about how to avoid some really common traps. Because knowing how to test these things is one half the battle, knowing how to not make simple mistakes is the other half. Let's look at 2 big ones. Okay, mistake number 1. Never ever assume an equation is an identity just because it works for one number you try. You might have just gotten lucky. Remember, it has to work for all of them. And number 2, don't mix up your mission. Solving an equation is like being a detective looking for a specific suspect. Verifying an identity is like being a lawyer, proving a universal law is true for everyone. They are completely different jobs. So all of this brings us to the real question. Why does any of this matter? And the answer is because identities are not just a bunch of rules to memorize. They are the essential, must-have tools you'll need to simplify and solve much, much more complex problems down the road. And I'm talking about real-world problems. I mean, the smartphone in your hand, your Wi-Fi router, the radio in your car, these things are constantly working with signals. And the complex math that makes it all possible relies heavily on trigonometric identities to simplify those signals into something manageable.
For example, in signal processing, an engineer might be looking at a really messy wave made up of multiple signals all added together. But by using an identity, they can take that complicated mess and rewrite it as a single, clean expression. It turns chaos into order, making it way easier to predict how that signal is going to behave.
You know, what we've looked at today is really just the beginning. As you get deeper into trigonometry, you're going to build out this entire toolkit of identity families. You'll have the fundamental ones like reciprocal and Pythagorean, and then you'll add more powerful ones for special jobs, like the sum and difference formulas and the double and half angle formulas.
So think of everything we've talked about today not as a list of rules you have to memorize, but as the very first set of tools you're putting in your mathematical toolkit. You now know what an identity is, and more importantly, what it's for. So the only question left is, which complex problem are you going to choose to simplify first?